Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadika Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadika Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Murlidhara Radha Murlidhara Radha Jaya Gaura Chandra Jaya Gaura Chandra Jaya Gaura Chandra Shri Shri Gaura Chandra Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमा श्लोकी भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. Hare Krishna. Thank you for assembling today. We will be discussing today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Summum and Bonum, Chapter 20, the rainy season and autumn in Vrindavan, text 37 and 38. Naiva vidan kshiyamanam jalam gadha jalechara yatha yuranvaham kshayam nara mudha kutumbina. Translation and purport. Translation: The fish swimming in the increasingly shallow water did not at all understand that the water was diminishing. Just as foolish family men cannot see how the time they have left to live is diminishing with every passing day. Purport. After the rainy season, the water gradually goes down, but stupid fish do not understand this. Thus, they are often stranded on the lake shores and river banks. Similarly, those infatuated with family life do not understand that the remainder of their life is constantly decreasing. Thus, they fail to perfect their Krishna consciousness and are stranded in the cycle of birth and death. So, there is another verse, so we will go to that later. We'll offer short prayer. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, we are going through this chapter for the last 5-6 days, and then so we are trying to draw analogies from so the various things happening in Vrindavan to our real life, and learning some things, drawing some lessons. And then today it is an interesting thing. So it is telling about how the influence of time, and then how subtle, and then how strong, and how irreversible it is, and comparing that with our family life. So if we just go to the word-to-word meaning, which we skipped, here it is said, na not eva indeed avidan, appreciated, kshiyamanam, diminishing. So this is something which we can think of. There is a famous shloka in Bhagavatam, Kshine Punye Matyalokam Vishanti. So this Kshina means it gradually depreciates. It doesn't happen all of a sudden. So the choice of the words used in Srimad Bhagavatam as per the context are also very smart. All of a sudden vanishes. So that also there is a word. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says, Nashto moha shmrutir labdha. So in 18.73 or something. So all of a sudden, like the illusion is dispelled. So, like when there is a fog in the morning, and when sun comes, niharameva bhaskara. When sun comes, the fog dissipates. So it just takes a while, all of a sudden, maybe 2 minutes or 3 minutes. But this thing, this diminishing thing happens gradually. Kshine punye matyalokam vishanti. So even, even when there are impurities in the heart also, so they gradually diminish, kshina. So it comes in like nectar of instruction also. So kintu adarat anudinam kalu saiva jushtam swadvi kramat bhavati tadgata molahantri. Like when we chant the holy names of the Lord, slowly, the unwanted things in our heart go away. Slowly, gradually things will go, the unwanted things. Kshine punye. And then even the taste also, the taste for chanting the holy names, so that will increase gradually. So bhakti is not a 0-1 process. So things happen gradually. Now, do we say that things don't happen all of a sudden? Yeah, sometimes when Sukriti comes, all of a sudden also things happen. And then when extreme Sukriti comes, Kunti Maharani prays like Vipadas Santata Shashvat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru. Sometimes when Krishna wants to give us remembrance or special mercy, so then sometimes things happen all of a sudden also, but that's not a general case. So we aim for slowly happening of the things. So why we are discussing this particular thing? Because here the context is important. The shloka, what it is telling is like the water is getting depreciated in the particular lake or shore gradually. So the fish swimming in the increasingly shallow water. So so because of the sun scorching, so the water is gradually diminishing, and then the intelligent fish may understand it, but the people who are not that much intelligent, they will not understand it. Similarly, the analogy is compared to our family life. So people are so much occupied, um, so they are not able to understand that time is passing away from our hands. So I'm not sure whether it's Chanakya or somebody. So what is the effect of the time? Somebody asked, a great scholar, maybe a Greek scholar, I'm not sure. So how to control time? So he took the person who asked the question to a place where there's a lot of sand. So a fine sand. So he asked, pick up a more, handful of sand, wristful, palm. So he picked up and tried to hold it. So he tried to hold it, but the sand particles came out of the various gaps in between the palm or the fist. So the thing is, that's how time passes. We try to control our time, but so time cannot be controlled. So time passes. But the thing is, that particular fish in the water analogy is mapped to our family life. Those who are not intelligent, they will not be able to understand the impending uh, final destination. So then what is the solution? Okay, people are not able to understand. So why? Because of less intelligence. And then what is the solution? So there is a very nice incident happened with a famous author from Bharat. His name is Chetan Bhagat. So he wrote some interesting novels. So 5 Point Someone, Two States, and something like that. So the day before, one day before his book launch, one of the book launches, he was very much tensed because he's a big man. He all his books were a big hit, so he was like very tensed. The next book is going to be released the next day and then the following day, so he was very tensed. And then so in order to cool down, so he came to this particular temple, Shishi Radha Gopinath Mandir, in order to seek blessings and then cool down. And then all of a sudden, so there His Holiness Radhanath Swami was there. So he met, and then he said, "What can I do now?" So I'm feeling very tensed. So Maharaj gave a very nice analogy. So he said that, and then that analogy, this guy posted in his blog. So people read his blog so much. Just before the, so he posted that. The name of the blog is The Ocean. So Maharaj was telling that, you see, there is this small puddles and then everything, but there is an ocean. So Maharaj said, the fish in these small water bodies, so whenever there is an extreme heat or extreme sun, so then the water evaporates and then the fish gets troubled. But in the ocean, so whatever is the fish, so they will not be troubled. So the analogy is like, if there is depth in our spiritual practices, so then we will not be troubled by this, small things, variations. So try to go deep inside your spiritual practices. So then you'll not be disturbed whether the book will be success, the book will be not successful. So you will rise beyond this. And then, so that guy uh, titled the blog as The Ocean. And then, so he was like very much inspired to hear. So the same thing here also, that when we are performing our spiritual practices, so if we go deep in our spiritual practices, then this increasingly shallow water, so that will not have any effect. So even in the family life, so when we go, whatever time we are allocating for our spiritual practices, so if we go deep into our spiritual practices, so then we will try to understand the influence of time, and then so the impending final destination, so that we will be much more graceful in accepting the truth. So so there is one very nice analogy given. There is this frog in tepid water. I heard this from Gaur Kumar Prabhu on the Gita Jayanti class he gave in Bhakti Center. So how the influence of the time. So a frog is very quick in jumping, so in escaping it and everything. So if a frog is in jumps into a pot containing boiling water, so it immediately leaps out. So it understands that, okay, this is very dangerous for me, so I should jump out of it. But suppose a frog jumps into a water which is normal, so then it thinks, oh, I'm comfortable. But you keep that bowl of water on a stove or on a heating device, where you try to increase the temperature very slowly. So the idea is that so when it is happening very slowly, so the frog will not realize that the temperature of the water is being increased, and then it boils down to death. So that is what is the frog in the tepid water example. So the understanding we get from that is like, Ayusha Kshanaye Kopi Nalabhyate Swarna Kotabhihi. Chanakya Pandit says. So every moment, the fact when we are saying that this is the moment went out of our hands. So it is going slowly out of our hands, and then it is pushing us to the final destination. Only thing is, so we need to realize this fact, that is sufficient. And then if we are doing anything spiritual activity, do it now, not sometime later. So if you understand that time is going out of our hands, Chanakya Pandit says, Ayusha Kshanaya Kopa, life even is just one moment. Nalabhyate Swarna Kotibhihi. So you cannot get back even if you pay billions of dollars. So then what is the solution? So chant, chant about the Lord's names every minute. So that's what he says. Okay. And then, so this gradual process, if we just look into this, as we discussed in the beginning of the class, there are some things which happen all of a sudden, by the mercy of the Lord, but there are exceptional cases. Even the samskaras, what we get, they build up over a period of time. Like we see samskara means like when Lord Krishna's birthday in Vrindavan, how Mother Yashoda celebrates. So it's not that birthday means we accept gift, but Lord Krishna is given a good bathing, and then he stays in the home, and then he gives charity to various monks and then everybody, and then collects blessings. So these are all the samskaras which are given over a period of time, and then people acquire it. So these are so valuable. They cannot be, they cannot be destroyed in a moment. So even though there are a lot of influences, unwanted influences on us. So one example, Dayal Gauranga Prabhu was giving some time ago. So he was preaching, he was doing some youth preaching in one of these centers. I mean, he was, there was one of the center, and then, so some university students were coming. So one girl, she was like a very strong, though she's from Bharat, but she has strong atheistic tendencies. So she used to come and then argue about, oh, where is God, and then all those things. So, but one day what happened, they have a small altar, and then there is the deity of Bal Gopal. So they made some bhoga, and then they wanted to offer. And then the milk was very hot, So the algorithm was busy, and then some devotees asked, can you do an offering? Though she's new. So can you do an offering? And then she was telling, oh, but it's too hot. How can we offer to Lord? So so then the algorithm was telling, you see, she just argues, for from the atheistic point of view, but the samskaras what she got over a period of time. So she has that fine understanding that very caring towards Lord even in her offering. So that shows that whatever things we have acquired over a long run, so they cannot be destroyed instantaneously. At the same time, even aparat, when we are dealing with devotees also, the offenses will not happen all of a sudden. So it is like building up unwanted things in our heart, and then once at some point of time, so they will come out. So it's important that we constantly check what is building up in our heart. Is it like gratitude and appreciation to our devotees, other devotees, or is it like some sort of judgmental attitude towards other devotees? And if that is creeping in, so then we can easily, so a constant check will help us not to commit aparats. And then, so if we commit offenses, so then that is the um, greatest mm, um, failure in our spiritual practices. Krishna doesn't like that. So the idea is it doesn't happen all of a sudden. So things happen very slowly, just like the water in a pond becomes shallow very slowly, and then the life runs out of us very slowly. So now we go to the next verse. Just a minute. Yeah, 10, 20, 38. Gadhavari charastapam avindam charadarkajam yadhadaridra kripana kutambi avijitendriyaha. Translation: just as a miserly, poverty-stricken person overly absorbed in family life suffers because he cannot control his senses, so the fish swimming in the shallow water had to suffer the heat of autumn sun. Yeah. So there is this famous example many of us know. So there's this person called Ajamila. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it comes 6th canto. So it said, just as a miserly, poverty-stricken person, overly absorbed in family life. So Ajamila, just briefly, he's like a very nice, born in a very cultured family. And then he was raised with all these good samskaras, or good training in spiritual life and everything. And then he was married, and his wife is very chaste and then good looking. But once he went to forest to collect some firewood for his sacrifices, and then he saw a sight of a society girl embracing a low class person publicly, and then he got bewildered. And then what happened? He came home. That's okay. There are a lot of challenging situations will come in our life, spiritually challenging situations. But he came back home, and then he kept on meditating on that instead of intensifying his spiritual practices. So this is what, like our we should not lose depth in our spiritual practices. So, and then once the spiritual practices become shallow, then the unwanted things, so the good dog and the bad dog, we say in our heart. So the bad dog voice gets strengthened, and then the good dog voice gets weakened. And then he kept on meditating. See, remember, this didn't happen on the spot. So this got accumulated, and then he kept on meditating, and then his spiritual practices also were uh, weakened. And then he was overpowered, and then so he brought that particular society girl to his home, and then he threw out of his home all the parents, and then his wife, everybody he threw out of the home. So, but what happened? Even at the age of fag end of his life, 80, 85, so he was, procreating children. And then because of, he had so many children with that particular uh, society girl. So he had to practically engage in, all sorts of robbery and everything to gain money and then support his family. So this is what happens, just as a translation, just as miserly, poverty-stricken person overly absorbed in family life suffers because he cannot control his senses. So initially, he was having a lot of good training, and then he was properly controlling his senses. But because of weak practices, then he stopped working on that sense control, and then so he was being tortured, and then so many things. So this is what, so we need to be very careful about our spiritual practices, and then so that things will not happen all of a sudden. And then many times people say, when we go out for book distribution and then all, so they say that, oh, you are distributing Gita, it's good. I don't know in US, but in Bharat, oh, it's good. But I don't have time. So many people say, I don't have time. Okay, but we also have 24 hours, you also have 24 hours. So why don't you have time? So then when people say, I don't have time, so it boils down to this. They want to maintain their family. So they have certain ambitions. And then, so it is said, nidraya hiyate naktam. So, and then, so people, kutumba bharanenava. So supporting the family life, it comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 1st chapter, 3rd verse. So this is 213. It's easy to remember. 2 plus 1 is 3. So 212 and 213. So they nicely summarize this particular concept of people. Yes, we need to provide to our family, but if you go too much into supporting just the family, then what happens? So it is said in the before verse, apasyatam atma tattvam griheshu gruhamedishu. So we can have a household, nice family life, but if you are not able to see, the spiritual reality, apasyatam atma tattvam. So then, so the family life becomes gruhamedhi, or the family life without, spiritual consciousness. So that's why, so Ajamila was unable to focus on his spiritual practices. And then, he had initially also a very nice family life. So spiritually centered, taking care of his parents, wife is also very chaste and then everything. But what happened? Apasyatam atma tattvam. So he stopped focusing on his spiritual practices, and then so he drifted away. So that's what in this second verse it is telling. that just as miserly, poverty-stricken person, overly absorbed. The overly absorption comes when your absorption gets diverted from the spiritual thing. So even if so the depth comes with absorption. So when you reduce your absorption in spiritual practices, then you have to divert your absorption somewhere else. So my family, I need to provide them bungalows, and then I need to provide them good wealth and then everything. So then you keep working hard. So that's what people say, that I don't have time for spirituality. Why? Because you have so many plans. You want to take care of your family members, blah, 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 blah. But till what extent? Then overly absorbed. So that's what is in the translation. Yeah. So it's 7:47. So let me just summarize the small discussion we had today. So we discussed these two things, Kshina and Nashta. Kshina means which gradually diminishes. So 2 times the word diminishing comes in the first verse. So diminishing, that happens gradually. And Nashta moha smriti labdha. So all of a sudden it's destroyed. So there are 2 things. And then most of our spiritual things happen gradually. Even good things also, increasing taste for holy name, so all these things, pious credits. So all these things happen gradually. And then similarly, committing aparadh also happens gradually. So we need to keep a constant check. And then we saw the example of the small puddle and the ocean. So, when the fish in the ocean is never tortured by this, increasing heat of the sun or blah, blah, blah. So that's why if you go deep in our spiritual practices, so we will be safe, and then we will not be tortured or, tempted by, some sort of challenging situations. And then we saw the example of how intense the time is and how subtle, and then how, irreversible the effect of time. So the frog in the tepid water example, we saw it slowly boils down to death without its knowledge. That is the most important thing. And then we saw the example in little bit in detail of Ajamila, how he had everything. He had nice samskaras, nice upbringing, but it took a while for him to drift away from that spiritual practices. It didn't happen overnight. So, and then, so because of his overly attachment, so to his family life, he was unable to come out of that. And then not only just overly attachment, but weakening of his spiritual practices. So that is what is the thing. And because of all this, so we forget to see the reality, apasyatam atmatattvam. Right. So thank you so much for patiently hearing. Sorry, I did not take the blessings of Adi Purusha Prabhu and other devotees before start of the class. Please forgive me. Yeah. Please share your thoughts on this.
Yeah, we were praying for you. And certainly it was a wonderful class. Certainly you have your spiritual masters empowering you. Very, very nice. You gave that analogy, Prabhupada gave us that analogy of the frog in the pot of water. And the gradual drift, you mentioned the word drift. We have to be careful. There isn't a tipping point that we drift to the point of being too absorbed. And then the frog in the water analogy, he jumps in and it's very cool and he's feeling very frisky. And of course, he can always jump out when he's in that comfortable condition. But then, because the water is becoming gradually warmer, as it gets warmer, he starts to think, whoa, this is so nice. This is so comfortable and cozy. And the frog is cold-blooded, so he's taking his bodily temperature from the surroundings. So as he becomes warmer and warmer, he becomes lethargic to the point where he becomes sleepy, to the point where he doesn't have the frisky energy to jump out. and he just gradually falls asleep in the warming water, and then it gets to the boiling point and he's killed. So we have to be careful about that drift. And Jesus said that thing, this world is like a bridge, cross over it, but don't build a house on it. Don't forget the fact that where we're going, sometimes they say you take the boat across the river, but then you have to, at the other side, you have to get out of the boat. You know, we may have some arrangement we make so that we can maintain ourselves, but that is not the goal. And the goal is to serve Krishna with a full heart. So Krishna is so wonderful that he gives us that warning. Krishna is so wonderful that he gives us devotees like you to help us remember, oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? Where am I going with this? Let's not fall asleep in the comfortable situation. We have here a wonderful guest named Yusti. Yusti, you may want to add something.
Hi, Krishna. Yeah, I did love the class as well. And yeah, it's fantastic to know that everything can be progressive. And that makes me think about to be patient, right? And follow that. And to be patient, we can follow belief, right? Believe, trust, and love. I think these three are very good to apply, right? And help us a lot, and help us to remember that in any situation, continue loving. In any situation, continue believing. In any situation, continue trusting. That's the idea, right? Because there is something bigger than us that really follow this, and it's pure love. So let's love, and love all the time, right? Thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, the qualities, whatever you say, they build over time. So you cannot have.
Okay. He don't want to share. Hi, Krishna. Thank you so much.
Angel. Oh. Okay, glories to Prabhupada. Thank you very much.
And I'm just looking at. So thank you, Anand Manjari, Prabhu, and then everybody for such nice points. So yes.
Would you like to read Ananda Manjari's point for our online audience?
Yes. So she the last point seems to be still presenting the downfall in a better light than it actually is. Nowadays, people work hard for themselves and their own enjoyment. Family going out of the picture. Working for a family is still a somewhat reason for overachievement and service to someone else. I wish each person works hard and interested in spiritual life can at least do that for a healthy family structure. Hare Krishna. Very nice observation by Anand Manjari Devi. So even working for a family is little bit better than working for one's own enjoyment. So yeah, that is true. So that's one step of selflessness. So people are extending others, family members. So, but sometimes people get caught up in when the problem is like when we try to serve others in a material, so we also start expecting, and then there will be frustration because there's a mismatch always. But yeah, that sort of selflessness is really the beginning step for our spirituality. So.
In the Bhagavatam, it says that if we take shelter of our wife and children and family, then it's all fallible soldiers. If our service to our family is not done in the spirit of devotion as a service to Krishna, then it's all fallible soldiers.
Yeah.
It will let us down. So we take shelter in kirtan, chanting, in hearing classes like Krishna Daya Prabhu's class today. He's just boiling. My water is boiling. I'm ready to jump out. I was lethargic, but then I came to class and I'm frisky again.
But today I heard the analogy, but Adi very nicely explained like how frog is like murdered and then how. So this is like a broader version of that. Thank you.
Yeah, our transcendental zoologist study. Hare Krishna. Okay, who else would like to share or reflect or ask a question? Krishna Prabhu is very competent. He can answer questions. Here is my question, Krishna Prabhu: how to understanding the subtle nature of time and that the time is running out, how to go deep in spiritual practice without neglecting our family members, like our spouse, for example. How not to drive them crazy and go deep at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, just 1 week ago, the Jagannath Priya Prabhu was telling very nice point in our Bhakti life. So he said that there is nothing like material and spiritual. So, if we are spiritually practicing, we try strong in our spiritual practices, we give the right amount of time for everybody. So there is nothing like material. So we see everything in connection to Krishna. So if we are strongly rooted in spiritual thing, so we ought to understand. We give time to our family members. So because the thing is, we understand that family is kept under our care. It's not that they are different from Krishna. Krishna has kept them under our care. So it's our responsibility. It's a spiritual responsibility. So maybe I'll just pause because Bhima Prabhu is want to raise the hand. So there is another part of the question, but maybe Bhima Prabhu can.
You buy her a horse, and then she will leave you alone. And then you can do your spiritual practice while you're taking care of her horse. So you free up tons of time because you're out alone taking care of the horses, and she's happy because she has a beautiful, silent, emotional support animal that can take care of all that other things, and it just frees you up. Basically, what I'm saying is, if you take care, just like Krishna Daya said, if you take care of your spiritual life first thing in the morning when nobody is up, then Krishna will arrange that they will feel and get a read on you, and they will follow because you're leading. If you simply go head to head with them over their material desires, over their wants, their likes, their dislikes, into which some spouses, whether they're male or female, they will be rather vehement about these things. You let it go. You just let it go. You just take care of your own situation, and then if you lead, they will follow. But if you want an easy answer, just get them a horse and then practice while you're cleaning the stalls.
I'm not on that
Amen.
level yet. I'm not on that level. I'll get a hamster for starters.
A hamster. When I was growing up in
don't get one hamster. They get lonely. Get two hamsters.
Two hamsters.
So they can suffer with you, a male and a female. That way they can suffer side by side with you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anand Manjari, baby, you want to say something?
Yes, I want to say something. I wanted to come back to your previous point and kind of reflect and also say what I recently heard from His Highness Radhanath Swami. And he made this really beautiful point of how, as Krishna says, that he is everything and everything is in him. We also can see that in our daily lives, that if Krishna is everything, then in that way, conversely, how we engage with everything and everyone is how we engage with him. And so how we engage with everything is also our indication of our service and our selfless attitude. And so we can see that reflected in our everyday life, as how do I care for the kitchen I cook in, or the utensils I use? Can I really see them as meant to be used in service and upliftment of others? And that's kind of this expansion of going from a practice of maybe 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day into actually living Krishna consciousness in service.
Perfect. Seeing everything in connection to Krishna, it's not just the 2 hours japa or the morning program 4 hours, but all the programs. Jai. Thank you.
Yeah, even when your wife is yelling at you, if you can get to that point where you say, "This is Krishna yelling at me," then you have become a pure devotee.
But it's true, 100%. Huh? It's true. It's completely true. 100%. 100%. We need to remember all the time that, everyone that we talk with is Krishna, right over there. Let's make sure that everybody that is having that conversation with us is feeling love.
Hey, love. Darshan time. Turn your cameras on if you can. Adipusha, but there's no video coming from your phone.
Can you buy me a horse?
Okay. Oh, no.
Ganesha. Hare Krishna. Nice seeing you all. Okay. Spotlight, Adi. Okay, Hare Krishna, welcome to the Afterglow. If you have a question or a comment, now is the time. And it's very nice seeing your bright faces, Nisha, Bruce, Prabhu, Isabel, Spirit Soul. Hare Krishna. No? Okay. Then we'd like to wish you a wonderful day. Get out of the shallow water. Oh, Bruce Prabhu, please. No? You're muted, Prabhu. You're muted.
Bhima mentioned waking up early in the morning and starting before the whole family wakes up and, try not to disturb them. A friend of mine was just talking to me 2 days ago about this is his problem, is that he wakes up early in the morning and he wakes up his wife as he's trying to get up. And that's creating a huge struggle for him. They sleep in separate beds. And that's creating the distance between them because he's in one room and he's in the other room. Any advice on how to I really want to help him with this problem because he's struggling and he wants to continue his service, but it's conflicting and he doesn't know how to go about it. Does anybody have anything to offer?
Anybody?
If you give them enough affection during your waking hours, they will forgive you for sleeping separately from them. Bumps in the night, you just have to give your whole heart to them, and when they are awake, and then you just pray to Krishna. Krishna will teach you how to stealthily leave the bed like a ninja. Perhaps he's great. I used to like be chanting downstairs, and I'd hear boom, 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 because she had to go to work in the morning, all morning, and I'd be up at like 3 a.m. chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, and she boom, 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 So the thing is to be. Krishna doesn't want you disturbing others, so you have to be very fastidious about and very meticulous and very caring. Just find a way to rise. Set aside that time because, of course, this is something that Krishna notices. If you go out of your way, he's going to if he makes it difficult, then that means he wants more of you. That's the time where the whole world is separate. The whole world is separate from you. Krishna has actually given you this time to be alone with him. It's very special. It's like the gopis running at midnight. No family, no boyfriends, no husbands, no babies, just them and Krishna. So this is our chance to actually partake of that dance. And if we really yearn to do that, he's going to make it hard on us because it's very serious. It's a very serious commitment to get up early and to separate yourself out from the world and to spend time with him, especially during the Brahma Muhurta. I know that during that time, it's very special because the world is asleep and so is the mind. And therefore, you can go straight from heart to Chaita to Paramatma, to Krishna. It's very easy to meditate, to connect, and so it's paramount to go at that time early in the morning. And then he will find that as he does this, he will find his days a lot easier. Krishna puts a dome of protection. And then when the wife is leaning into him, yelling at him, he can hardly hear her because the dome of protection mutes the mutes the volume. Because all you're thinking about is the wondrous time that you had with Krishna in the morning. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I hope that helps.
Your counsel is amazing, Bhima. Thank you. Thank you.
Isabel?
In addition to all the wonderful advice that Bhima just gave, I would say when all else fails, get a white noise machine. It muffles out everything, including the chanting, and his wife will be able to sleep through it all.
Thank you. Yeah, the principle here is that we don't want to disturb others. We represent Krishna in this person's life. So we should be very careful, caring, attentive to their needs. That's the principle. And the application is being quiet, getting a noise machine, whatever it takes. Srila Prabhupada says you have this God-given brain. We can figure it out. We can figure it out. I'm sure your friend can figure it out. And tell him we're rooting for him. He can do it. I got yelled at yesterday. I get yelled at every morning. Why are you so loud? Why do you have to go in back and forth all the time? So yeah, I have to work on my practice. And thank you very much for participating. Thank you, Bruce, Isabel, Beam, Venisha, Hemangi, Suzanne, Yogeshwari, Amita Kishori, Didi, Pink Yogi, Sharmila. Thank you very much. We love you dearly. We're wishing you a wonderful day. Get out of the shell of water if you're there. Go deep and come tomorrow. We're going to go deep together. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada.